A very good afternoon to you all. I will start off by explaining what 3R does and why we do what we do. So at 3R, we see unnecessary waste as an opportunity for improvement. We believe collaboration is the key, and we heard about that yesterday, we heard about that today. It is bleedingly obvious. And we blend imagination and science into everything we do to come up with innovative solutions. Our purpose is nil to landfill. All right, so what I will be covering today, I'll start off by explaining our paint and packaging product stewardship programs, what is covered in the programs, and what we do with the paint and packaging that is collected. Does this look familiar? An average home in New Zealand has about 12 to 15 litres of unwanted paint in their sheds. That accounts to roughly 20 million litres nationwide, and that number would be even higher for Australia. Most people end up with some unwanted paint or packaging in their garages. 67% of the red zone houses in Christchurch in 2011 had paint stored in them. People keep paint just in case. And uncontrolled disposal of paint can be highly damaging to our waterways, our environment, and human health. So, in 2004, Resine took a leadership position and with help from 3R, launched a pilot for Paintwise. Nationwide rollout was achieved in 2007. So, what is Paintwise? Paintwise is a government-accredited paint and packaging product stewardship scheme. The scheme is accredited by the Ministry for the Environment under the Waste Minimization Act. And in 2009, Dulux came on board and Dulux Paint and Packaging Take Back program was launched. In terms of the Resine Paintwise program, the scheme is mainly funded by a visible levy applied at the point of sale. Advanced disposal fees of 15 cents per litre is applied to all paint. Resine provides financial contributions every month to help fund the program, and a small charge is applied to the return of non-Resine branded product to again help fund the program. So, what is it? What is Paintwise? The Paintwise scheme covers the collection and recycling of unwanted paint and packaging, and that includes water and solvent bond paint, plastic and steel packaging, store tinters and packaging, and Resine products are free, and user pays for non-Resine brands. So paint is collected by 3R, and it's processed in 3 different locations in New Zealand, in Auckland, Hastings, and Christchurch. 3R developed the technology to separate the paint and packaging. So what we do is, the solvent bond paint is sent to solvent recovery, and the recovered solvent is used either as a fuel source or gun wash. Water-based paint is processed, and it's packaged for reuse. Plastic pails are sent to the recycler and eventually back to Resine for use in new pails. And steel is sent to scrap metal recycling. Resine offers good quality recycled waterborne paint to community groups for reuse and graffiti abatement. The paint that is collected, water-based paint, is color-badged, and it comes in 7 different colors. It is worth noting that the paint is donated, paint is not sold. And some items find more creative uses. I was thinking about that dress at the dinner last night. Would have been perfect. No. And Resine applies sustainable thinking in other areas as well. For example, the cardboard trays are sent back from the stores, from all the Resine color stores across New Zealand to the Resine factory for reuse. And Paintwise is not only about recycling at the end of the life. The program follows the waste hierarchy model, and it provides tips on reduction, use, and storage of the paint to maximize the paint efficiency and then only recycle what's left. So on that slide, I have a bit of a report card for Paintwise. Since the Paintwise service started, thousands of liters of unwanted paint has been diverted to community groups for reuse, and vast amounts of packaging has been recycled. And without that service, all that paint would have either gone to our landfills or it would have continued to deteriorate in our sheds and garages. Now I'll talk a little bit about product stewardship and how it fits in with circular economy and how it steers away from the current linear economy model. I won't bore you with what product stewardship is. I think everyone's got a pretty good idea. So it's very broad, but in terms of the Paintwise program, I guess 3 things to note. So around 20 to 30% of the resin product blend used to be solvent-borne paint, whereas now that number is around 9%. Their plastic pails are recycled back into plastic pails. And the good thing there is resin is not fussy about the color of the plastic pails. It's a material that holds paint, so it doesn't need to be bright white. And it also means that they have to import less virgin resin to make more pails. And in general, their products have lower volatile organic compounds, which is mainly driven by the market drive and consumer care. Simply put, circular economy is an alternative to the current linear economy model, where we take resources, make a product, and dispose them at the end of their life. And that's not a very smart system. It's not good for our planet, and it's not good for our pocket. Circular economy, on the other hand, it's about taking those resources and keeping them in use for as long as possible. It's about extracting maximum value from those resources, and then at the end of their life, regenerating them, recovering them. And that's what Paintwise is about, reusing those plastic pails, completing the loop, using plastic pails to make more plastic pails. And product stewardship is a mechanism for circular economy. I'll talk a little bit about the existing outflows of paint that we have for a recycled water-borne paint. Paintcrete was developed as a collaboration between Allied Concrete, 3R, and Resin Paints. Paint is collected by 3R. It is separated from its packaging, which could be plastic pails or steel cans, and the paint is stored in 200-liter drums. Now, some of that paint is delivered to Allied Concrete, and it goes into a product called Paintcrete. But what is Paintcrete? Paintcrete is an innovative use of waste paint as an admixture in concrete, and it replaces the conventional admixtures that are added into concrete, such as the air entrainers and the water reducers. And the reason why paint is such a good additive in concrete is because the properties of the polymer resin that is found in paint, waterborne paint, is similar to the properties of the polymeric admixtures that are traditionally added into concrete to achieve certain properties. And the benefits of adding paint to concrete are it improves the workability of concrete, improves the durability of concrete. It does not compromise the mechanical properties such as the compressive strength, and it's used as a partial replacement for mixing water. And in terms of the applications, Paintcrete is primarily being used in low-strength, non-structural applications such as the driveways or sidewalks or pavements, but it has also been trialed in some high-strength applications going up to more than 35 megapascals of concrete, and the trials have been done around residential foundation support and flowable fill. And this is an example of a footpath which was made out of Paintcrete, and there's various footpaths throughout New Zealand that are made with Paintcrete. Now I'd like to move on to another product that we make. So water-based paint that we collect is also used into making a product called rock coat. And with rock coat, the purpose is basically it's used as a render prep, and in other words, it's used as a primer or a sealer for the render to adhere to. The R&D aspect of the PaintWise program focuses on developing new outflows for unwanted recycled waterborne paint, and we're always on the lookout for developing new outflows for recycled paint. Dust can be a major issue on construction roads, and it's a major health and safety issue as well. And traditionally, water is used for dust suppression on construction roads, demolition sites, haul roads, quarries, and stockpiles. But why use absolutely good water for dust suppression when there's a waste stream? Imagine if there was a better way. As part of our paint product development, we are looking at potentially using paint and its components for dust suppression, and some of the preliminary performance-based work that we've done shows that the components in paint could significantly improve the ability of water to form droplets, wet surfaces, and keep them wetter for longer, which means the components derived from paint could improve the dust suppression. Moving on to another potential end use of recovered water-based paint. So I'll start off by explaining what daily cover is. Daily cover is basically the use of soil for covering rubbish at the landfills. And as you can see in that photo, rubbish is placed, it's compacted, and then soil is placed on top of it. And the purpose of using the daily cover is to control odor, to control wind-blown trash, to prevent fire hazards, to prevent animal intrusion, and in general to improve the aesthetics of the site for the site users as well as the neighbors. And a minimum cover of 15 centimeters is used. And the problem with that is it consumes landfill capacity, it requires resources allocation in terms of equipment and personnel, and soil may not always be readily available. But even if the soil is available, why use a natural resource in our landfills? So ADC, alternative daily cover, is typically used on the working face of the landfill instead of using soil. And there's several different commercially available ADCs in the market, such as foam-based ADCs, hydro-mulch slurries, or mineral mortar slurry-based ADCs. And as part of our paint product development, we have designed a recipe for an ADC, which uses paint as its key ingredient. It is a slurry-based system, and once applied, it dries out as a crust. And we measured the performance of the blends that we've designed in terms of how well it adheres to the substrate, how well it forms the crust, and how long does it take to dry, so the drying time. And I've got some photographs to share. So the photo on the left is a commercially available ADC, and the photo on the right shows the ADC that we have designed at 3R. And as I said, it's a blend. The key ingredient is paint, and it's a blend of paint and a fiber, a binder, and water if need be. And there is another close-up photograph of the ADC after drying. Moving on to another potential use of recycled water-based paint. So paint has proven to be beneficial in cementous applications for years. And we've made these planters by blending waterborne paint with rotting aggregate lime, hydrated lime, cement, and water. The bigger planter on the left has around 12 liters of water-based paint in it, and the planter on the right has around 4 liters of paint mixed in it. Some key messages. So I'm at the end of my presentation now. PaintWise is a product stewardship scheme. It's about waste avoidance and resource recovery. It involves design and development of end-of-life solutions, fits in with circular economy, and it creates new products. It's about waste to resource. Happy to take any questions.